Alright, so we're looking at Anmol's presentation, which is different to Zana's idea, which was about relationships. This one is about relationship with father and son, but we don't see the father sort of thing. What's people's feedback on that idea?
I like that idea. I think it's more original that you're going to do a song with somebody who's lost their father instead of losing like a girlfriend or a wife or something.
But I think for the concept, it sounds a little bit too sad, whereas the song's a bit more upbeat. So I don't know if you could change that.
And I liked it, but like, how would you film like a little boy going into school without like getting in trouble for it and stuff like that? Like, would you go into school and get permission?
Or maybe, like our school, I would probably audition for maybe little year 7s and just film them coming into school.
I think you have to be careful when you do the flashbacks of him as a little boy and also a little boy, because you might get confused of what's going on if you keep going from different stories.
I'd say a problem with filming him in secondary school is that, I don't know about everyone else, but on my first day of school and my little brothers, our dad hasn't been there for us, it's always our mum. I think it's more, my dad was there for me on my primary school days and infants, so I think it would like be a bit strange. Anyway, I wouldn't assume his dad would be there on his first day of secondary school.
I think that you've made it... I really like the idea, but I think practically it's really, really hard, because if you think about when you're making music videos, how many times you want this kid in the park playing football and someone on a bench looking a bit weird, looking at them or whatever. You want all these different things of this child's life, so you've got to find a year 7 whose parents are going to be willing for you to have them after school all these different times. That's going to be very, very difficult unless you've got a family member who can do it for you. I think that's going to be quite tricky. One thing I was thinking when you were talking about it though, in terms of where you was like the bits where you showed where he was talking to the camera, is you could do something, is that you could get everybody you know who speaks to their dad or whatever, to get a photograph of their dad and them when they were little, and then you could film every one of them hugging their dad, and you could do it as like a quite interesting montage, because that would get over the thing that you're saying about miserable things. It would be a bit more of a positive message rather than some poor kid being miserable, and you could do that might look quite effective, not as the whole thing though, because then you could still do your you could still have someone as your performer. I think Zach would be very good in the role as a performer actually.
Yeah.
I can see Zach doing that. Where were you thinking you would film it, apart from in the school bits?
Well, the bench bits in the park and the bits when he's walking on the street, just probably behind, like, you know, a Manning, probably do about over there.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. And what sort of things are you going to have him wear? Because on the covers that you showed us, we had, obviously Neo was wearing a suit, Enrico was wearing a t-shirt type thing. What sort of mise-en-scène are you going for with his costume?
Costume is just going to be like trainers, jeans, and like a hoodie.
Okay, so you're going for kind of an approachable look. Okay, anyone got any other thoughts or questions or?
How are you going to set out are you going to do it exactly how Neo? Like, because the song's quite sad and you're going for a sad video, if you make the DVD cover really like him looking
like
happy,
stylish sort of thing,
then it's not going to go with the song. You have to try and make it go more with the song.
The DVD cover is going to be black and white with neutral colours blended in, and the artist is going to be faded in, and it's going to be like really dull, miserable kind of colours, and he's not going to be happy.
In the video, are you going to do it in colour, or are you going to do parts in black and white?
Parts are in black and white, like the flashbacks, but most of it's in colour.
I think you should avoid doing the flashbacks in black and white, because I think that looks a bit cheesy.
I think black and white would be more effective.
And you can show the difference quite clearly with the colours.
I think anyway you could film it in a really muted colour palette, so you could film it with all the camera settings. Obviously you have to change it back, otherwise somebody's going to get the wrong camera setting. But you could move all the camera settings up, down, so the contrast is not really bright, it's not crystal like it would be how you'd normally want it. So you get that sort of muted feel to it, which would be nice. The other thing to bear in mind is the DVD cover is for an album. Not every song's going to be like miserable, is it? So you've got to think how you're trying to think about its overall representation, and from what you've said about the song and the artist, he's sort of an everyday sort of person, which is why I wanted to know what he'd be wearing. So you maybe need to make sure that the look of him on the cover is in an everyday location, not like Neo where it's all kind of sharp and expensive suits and cities and all that. You maybe want something a little bit more real, I would imagine. Anything else? So I think probably the thing with your idea, Anmol, is you need to think about practically how that could actually work and what you maybe could do to amend some of your ideas to make them still fit with it. But I think it's a good choice of song, definitely. Thank you, Zach.